All right, friends. So another thing that we need to go over, because it is the first week of school, is how we're supposed to behave or act when we are in school, whether you're at home doing school or you're in a classroom. And for us, we call these green and red choices. A green choice means that it is a good choice and we want you to keep doing those things. A red choice means it's probably not such a good choice and maybe you need to stop what you're doing, think, and choose a green choice instead. So to start, I have a little book that I am going to read to you. And it is called I Can Make Green Choices. I can use a quiet voice. So we want to save our running around and screaming for when we're outside, but when we're in class or when you're at home doing class, we want to use our quiet voice so we don't bother anybody else who might be trying to learn. I can be a friend. And again, this goes for whether you're at home playing with a grown-up or a sibling or a neighbor next door, or whether you're in the classroom. I can look at the speaker. So I like this one a lot. Sometimes, especially us grown-ups, we like to see your eyeballs when we're talking to you because that is one of the ways that we know that you are paying attention and you're listening to us. And I know it's really hard, and I know sometimes you really don't want to look at somebody. So you can look at their forehead, maybe look at their chin, maybe look at their hair on their shoulder. But you want to at least have your eyeballs looking towards them, if not looking right at them, just so that they know that you're listening. And even if it's every once in a while, looking up and letting us see those eyeballs so we know that you're paying attention. I can use my walking feet. So you might hear your grown-up at home telling you not to run in the house. The same thing goes for school. We don't want to run in school unless we're in the gym or we're outside because you could fall and get hurt, and we don't want that for anybody. So we want to make sure we're using our walking feet. I can answer, and I'm going to throw in ask questions. So if you don't understand something, when we do our small groups, our little meetings together, you guys can always raise your hand and you can ask me your question. And if I ask you a question and you know the answer, tell me. Let me know that what you know. Share with me what you have learned. This is a big one. I can clean up. And whether it's the toys that you were playing with, or maybe you were helping doing some cooking at home, you can help clean up whatever mess you made. I can take turns. Whether you are playing a game or maybe you and a friend or a sibling want to play with the same toy at the same time, you guys can take turns. You can ask a grown-up to set a timer for you, so maybe you play with the toy for 3 minutes and then your friend gets a turn for 3 minutes. It's a good way to be a good friend. And this is my ultimate favorite. I can try my best. Meaning, you put forth your best effort, you do the best job that you can. But it's okay if you make a mistake, because even us grown-ups, we make mistakes. And mistakes are how we learn. But you always want to do the best that you can. You always want to try really, really hard. And the more that you practice and the more that you try, the easier it might be and the better you might get. So that's always a good thing to keep in mind. All right. And this is really important, especially when we start doing some of our science experiments and some of our cooking and our arts and crafts. I can use materials safely. So we don't want people to get hurt. So when we are using scissors or a knife to cut in cooking class, or we're mixing things together in a science experiment, we always want to use our listening ears and listen to the grown-ups, and we want to have safe hands. So we don't want to go start touching things until we are told it's okay to start touching things, because we don't want anybody to get hurt. And There are even times where maybe you started touching something and you weren't the one that got hurt. The person standing next to you was. So we always want to have safe hands and listening ears. I can follow directions. So myself or grown up at home might ask you to do something, and we might say, please walk down the stairs and put on your shoes. Those are two directions, two things that you need to do. You need to first walk down the stairs, and second, you need to put on your shoes. So it's always a good idea to follow those directions, and this is where having good listening ears comes in. And one of the things that I always encourage kids to do to get those ears ready to listen is to warm them up. And this is how we warm up our ears in class. So we put our hands together like this, and we rub them really, really hard and fast. And then when your hands start feeling nice and hot, we're gonna put them on our ears. And now your ears are all warmed up and ready to listen. This is our last one for the day. It is, I can have a calm body. And this doesn't mean that you don't maybe like wiggle around a little bit while you're sitting, watching the videos or sitting in circle time in class, but it means you are not wiggling so much that you're bothering the people sitting next to you, that you're not leaning on your neighbor, you're not poking the grown-up sitting next to you. You're keeping your hands and your feet and your legs to yourself in your own little personal, I call them personal bubbles, in your own little bubble, so that you are not bothering anybody else, so that the people around you can do their work and so that they can use their listening ears and they can learn. And when we're upset, if we're playing with a friend or a sibling and we're getting upset, sometimes you feel like your body parts want to go different ways. We want to try and find a better way to handle that anger or that sadness so that we're not using our body in a way that could hurt ourselves or other people. We want to have a calm body. So some of the videos that we're going to do together are going to help teach us different ways that we can have that calm body, even when we're upset. All right, friends, are we ready to work on our chart?